All right, in today's video, we are going to be talking about protection. Not really this protection. I'm not sure why I grabbed this, or this either. I don't even remember how these come off. Okay. There we go. Protection's actually in this box right here. I see you eyeballing that back there. That's not the video we're doing today. We're talking about lightning and surge protection. All of these devices right here. And it's probably gonna be broken up into a couple different videos because I've got all sorts of lightning / surge protection devices that need to be installed. I've actually had this stuff for at least 6 months and I just haven't had time to do it. And today we're gonna start that process. So many of the companies that people go through for surge protection or lightning protection would be EMP Shield, Siemens, and Midnight Solar, and I've got 2 of those brands here today. The first one is made by EMP Shield, and this one is the SP120-240. This one is for installing in your main electrical panel. Once that's installed, they say it basically protects like everything inside your home. Even if the grid is not there, through some PFM, it will protect all of your equipment. So this one right here is going to be in the main electrical panel, and that's probably what we're going to do in this first video. It should be a pretty quick and simple install. The next one we have here, which will probably be in the next video or 2, is also from EMP Shield. The model number on this one is DC-48V. This one is for installing on your lithium batteries, basically batteries that have a electronic device in it, like a BMS. That's what this one is going to be for. Again, this one's gonna go in a different video, most likely. I also have one more from EMP Shield. This one is the DC-12V, and this one is gonna go in a vehicle. I would imagine most people aren't going to go the extra mile for this one to put in their vehicle, because you're not likely to be struck by lightning, I would think, in your vehicle, although it does happen. For me, I guess the main thing would be like an EMP or a solar flare or CME. Let's just say I'm out and about. I want to be able to drive back home. That's basically my whole intention behind this one right here. Even though, you know, if it got really bad like that, in that type of situation, gas pumps and all that kind of stuff aren't going to work. You run out of your own diesel and all that kind of stuff. So your vehicle, you know, if you did manage to have a working vehicle, a newer working vehicle, you would be like a huge target. So really, I only want this to be able to go home. So most people are probably not going to opt for that one. And then for all of my solar arrays, I chose the Midnight Solar surge protection or lightning suppression devices for that. Now, the main reason for me personally why I didn't just go with the cheaper Midnight Solar for everything is because the EMP Shield and the Siemens, these ones right here that go inside of your main electrical panel, they have a wire for your ground, for your neutral, and both hots, okay? You have 4 wires coming out of there, so there's protection on each line. As far as I know, with the Midnight Solar, you only get a ground and then 2 hots. You don't get one for the neutral. And if it's a lightning strike or a surge or whatever that comes from the grid side, you don't know what line it's gonna be on. It could be on leg 1 or leg 2 or the neutral, or it could even come from the ground for all I know. That's the only reason why I chose the EMP Shield, or the next option would have been the Siemens version. I'll flash it up on the screen. It's very, very similar to this. There's just some minor differences. And the main reason why I went with this one is because, you know, you can get all of this stuff from Signature Solar, and they did not offer the Siemens brand. I just went with EMP Shield for my home, my batteries. Actually, you know what? I probably could have gotten the Midnight Solar version for the batteries, but I think I couldn't find it, at least on the website, or maybe they didn't carry it at the time. So I just got the EMP Shield for my batteries. These were not sent to me or anything like that. I did purchase every single one of them. Now, I've printed out all sorts of information, you know, why you should get a surge suppression and all that kind of stuff, or why you should choose EMP Shield or Siemens, because I believe they're about the same. For one, it's made in the United States. It is a veteran-owned company right in Kansas, the state right below me. I am a veteran, so of course I'm gonna support any veteran that I can. I mean, there's all sorts of other things on here. It's backed by a 10-year warranty. It's also backed by $25,000 of insurance. If the device does not protect your electronics, we will cover the damage. I think there is like a little caveat to that. You have to have it installed by like a certified electrician. But if they guarantee it like that, then I don't have any problems of trusting that I can install it correctly. And they do give you installation instructions. And then of course the main thing is lightning, EMP, CME, and solar flares. All phases of an EMP, so there's E1, E2, and E3, and these can clamp down or shunt 228,000 amps per phase, so per phase of wire. And another thing with these is if there is an EMP, let's say there's 15 EMPs that happen over there, these actually keep on working. They will shunt the power and then they are basically like re-enabled. But they only take one like direct lightning strike, okay? If you do get a lightning strike for any of these, you do have to replace it. Also with the EMP shield on their website, that's what I'm getting most of this information. It's listed by the Department of Homeland Security. It's one of the world's fastest. So basically if this thing detects, a pulse of any sort, it will clamp down and direct that energy to ground away from your equipment in less than a nanosecond of what it says on their website. It is UL 1449 compliant. It's had a crap ton of military testing. That's why the military does use it. And it's a 14-day money-back guarantee. If you decide EMP Shield isn't for you, we offer a 14-day, no questions asked return policy. So that's kind of cool. I'm way past that window, by the way. Yeah, there's all sorts of information that they have on. I just printed these off right from their website. I'm not going to go over them all. Basically, we are just going to get right into it and install one of these on my main electrical panel, and that's going to be today's video. The next video will probably be all the solar panel arrays with the Midnight Solar, and we will probably include the battery protection on that one as well. This one is the one that goes on the batteries. It looks very similar to all the other ones, but this one's only got your positive and negative and a ground. Okay, so you want to install these on your battery banks if you have lithium batteries or batteries that have electronics in them. And I also have some other stuff which we will probably do in like the third video or the last video, is trying to protect our internet. So not really protect the internet, it's protecting any sort of lightning or surges that could come in on your internet line, like your cable line coming from out there on the street into your house. And I did have some help with this one on trying to figure out some stuff to do it. That was Adam DeLay. He helped me out with this one, and I think this is what he's doing at his house. So for the internet, basically what we're going to do is try to create an air gap with some fiber optic cable and two of these boxes right here whenever we get to that portion. And then one other thing that I also got for that, this is called a Pro Grade Coaxial Lightning Arrestor 75 ohm F female to F female. That's what this guy looks like right here. So we put this in line with our cable line outside. We'll attach a ground to it and run that right to the ground, my ground rod right outside. Okay, that'll probably be like video 3. And then there is also one more thing that I bought, which I don't have all the parts for this part yet, is I went down a huge rabbit hole with all this stuff and tried to get as much information into my little brain as I could, but a lot of good information is from the EMP doctor on YouTube. I'll link his channel down below. But he also recommends some ferrite cores or rings that you would clamp around different parts of your system. So these ones right here, we would actually clamp around our solar wires that come off the panels. We would clamp those in there. So we'll have one or two of these up by the panels, and then we'll also set one closer to the inverter. What these do is real similar to all the ones that are installed on all your other equipment. If you look at your power cords, you might see these. These basically kind of like lays the ripple down and it brings it a little bit lower, and it actually helps out your lightning arresters as well. Instead of a huge pulse, it turns it into a smaller pulse. These aren't, you know, like 1000% needed, but I am going the extra step to add these as well. And I got these off of Amazon, but you can also get them from the EMP Doctor as well. And then there's another version that I'm waiting for. Those are called, I'll put it on the bottom of the screen because I can't remember. But some of these you put on your solar wires from your panels, and then the other ones you're going to set on your main electrical wires that come from the grid. And actually you could put them on your main wires that feed your inverter and come out of your inverter. You could also put those on there, especially if you have a really long run of wiring. Alrighty, enough jibber jabber. Let's get the EMP shield on my main electrical panel because it is storm season and we do get a lot of lightning strikes around here. So as sooner I can get this installed, the happier I'll be. Actually, one last thing before we install this is like your PVC conduit boxes right here. And you are going to need some adapters to go from this to connect to the main panel, which I have right here. And I tried to make a little tiny S like that because once this is installed, the holes on the side of my electrical panel are away from the wall. So I just made this little tiny S right here so I can mount this directly to the wall. You don't have to do this little S bend like I did right here. You can actually come straight out of this and then into your electrical panel, but there might be a gap back here, so you might have to throw in like a piece of wood or something in there so you can securely mount this to the wall. Okay, enough jibber jabber, let's get to it. Alrighty, back at the main electrical panel where we're going to install the EMP shield. Obviously the first thing we're going to have to do is remove the cover. Next thing we're going to have to do is knock out one of the knockouts on the side of the panel so we can mount this. I'm going to try to mount it as close to the panel as I can with my little PVC conduit right here, and then in the instructions it actually tells you to cut the wires back as short as you possibly can. This really shouldn't take too long. I think the longest part for me would be drilling out the holes. And I shouldn't have to say it, but if you're not comfortable doing your own electrical work or working in your electrical panel, make sure you hire a professional. You should also probably disconnect the main breaker at the top, you know, so it's safe. Boom, cover is removed. Okay, so next thing we gotta do is knock out one of the knockouts on the side of the panel. And the conduit that comes out of the side of the EMP shield is a 3/4. So we're gonna knock out both rings, probably this one right here. There's one ring, and the next one will pop out, coming out on this outside edge. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is thread the wires through here, and we're going to temporarily set it in place to make sure it lines up okay with our hole, and we can mark the holes on the cinder block. All right, we'll pull these through temporarily. Okay, that actually looks pretty good, and it's actually in the center of the grid box and the main electrical panel. I'm gonna go with that. And I'm not gonna drill all 4 holes, I'm probably just going to drill 2. So let me pull this back out, and we'll drill those holes real quick. Got my holes drilled, got my little inserts in there. Now we can install the EMP shield. I'm gonna mount this to the wall real quick. All right, next is gonna be the jam nut. And then after that, we'll install the little bushing cover. And next is that little cover. Okay. Boom, there we go. All right, got the EMP shield mounted to the wall, going through the little tiny piece of conduit. We have our jam nut and little bushing cover on the back, and now the wires are just hanging out here on the bottom, which we're going to wire next. All right, so in the instructions, it tells you need 2 20-amp breakers, so that's what I have right here. I had these sitting in here because I knew I was already gonna install these. So I've got my 2 20-amp breakers right here, and they want you to get as close to the main breaker as you can, because this is where the power comes in. Technically, you could put it anywhere you want, but they say the closer to where the power comes in, the better. And then the next thing you want to do is make the wires as short as you possibly can. So for these two breakers right here, the top one is going to be the black wire, next one down is going to be the red. The neutral is going to go on this bar right over here on the side, and then my ground bar is actually way down here in the bottom corner, so that is going to be kind of a long wire, but that's why they give you so much wire, just in case you do have a longer run. I wish it was shorter, but it's not. So actually we're going to install the ground wire first. So I'm just going to get a rough measurement for that and see how much I can actually cut off of here, which is really not very much. So I'm going to cut off maybe 2 to 3 inches over here on the bottom. Snip, and we'll peel back that insulation. Boom, just like that. We'll go in here, we'll get them nice and straight, and we'll tighten that one down. And there is torque specifications. I believe it's like 25 inch-pounds. Okay, so that wire is installed. Next one is going to be the white or neutral. And I'm actually going to cut this one back pretty far. I'm going to install it as close to these two breakers as I can, which will probably be one of these screws right over here. So I'm actually going to cut that one back pretty far. Snip. Boom, just like that. The next ones are going to be the two hot wires, and again, you want to try to make those as short as you can. Do a snip, snip. So we got our two hots going to the two 20 amp breakers right here. The neutral is right behind it, and then the ground goes all the way down here over into the ground bar right there. And that is basically it. The instructions tell you, of course, to put your cover back on and then turn on the power, but we're going to go ahead and turn on the power. We should get some LED lights. Boom, there we go. Got L1 and L2 LEDs lit up. That's pretty much it. All we have to do is put the cover back on. Boom, there you go. Now we have protection from lightning, EMP, solar flares, and CMEs. Nice. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for video 1, and it was super easy, and we were finally protected against lightning strikes, EMPs, solar flares, and CMEs. And I feel a lot better inside, actually. In the next video, we will probably tackle all the solar arrays with the Midnight Solar Surge suppressors, and we will probably include the EMP shield for the battery bank. And we'll probably include the ferrite rings that we will put on the solar panel wiring. We're going to put one up there on the roof, and then the other one's basically right down here, right before it goes into the inverter. These are super easy. You saw, you just open them up, and then you clamp them around as many arrays as you have. Like I've got 2 arrays up on the roof, so this will cover both arrays up on the roof, and then you just install the other one right down here by the inverter. These are super easy, so we'll include those as well. In video 3, we'll attempt to tackle the air gap for my internet, as well as the inline lightning arrestor. And then I guess I'll probably do a video 4, which will be installing the EMP shield in my truck, if anybody was interested in that. All right, well, that's pretty much all I got. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure you put those down in the comment section. If anybody's looking for any protection for your own home, I'm gonna have all of these listed down below. And then finally, if this video is helpful in any way possible, make sure you like that smash button on your way out, because it does help, and I will see you in the next. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. All I need to do is mark and drill my holes. Where's my marker at? Somewhere else, of course.